Howdy folks, I'm an Australian living in Belarus, and today I'm back in mighty Australia. I'm back in the land down under, and I'm talking about reasons why life in Belarus is better than life in Australia. Now I just made a video talking about why life in Australia is better than life in Belarus. I'm going to flip it around and talk about the pros of living in a place like Belarus. And look, after walking through the city centre today for 20 minutes, and after hearing several stories of my former students, mainly Asian-born kids coming here to study, being assaulted and king hit from behind, this kind of stuff. After hearing all these stories, I really think back to Belarus, and I think, man, that's a good place. It's super safe. You don't get, well, you get some drugs, but barely any homeless on the street. And definitely a lot of safety. Yeah, a lot of safety. So I'll just give you an example. I was having lunch with two of my former students here, both Chinese girls, or women, they're probably 25 now. And one of them has just moved from the city centre because she was walking down the street one day and she kind of heard some yelling or something, which isn't unusual. There's a lot of drug affected people in the city centre. And she just feels this bump on her head like this. She's like, fucking what was that? Right? So she turns around and there's someone running away. And this guy comes up and says, oh, you're all right. She says, well, yeah. It's like, oh, that guy just hit you. It's like, oh, okay. Sorry, the girl just hit her, right? And then she had all these stories of other people just, this same thing, just a punch out of nowhere. And this one was like kind of a misguided punch. Let's get across the street here. It's like kind of a misguided punch, nonetheless. And then she started telling me about, I don't know, her friend's cousin, or I don't know the exact relationship, but it just had happened like in the last few weeks. Someone had come here, and they'd only been here for 2 weeks in the city of Melbourne. And some druggy guy just came up and just went crack. King hit her, split her nose open, blood everywhere, straight to the hospital kind of stuff, and just kind of traumatized her. So you're not going to get that kind of thing in Belarus. Like it's so far from the reality of living in Belarus. Now, look, Australia's, you know, somewhat, it's not unsafe anyway, right? You wouldn't think, oh, Australia, oh, don't go there. It's, yeah, fucking, it's like a Central American country or something, right? Obviously not. But, you know, these things do exist here. And there's a bit of a spate at the moment going on in the city centre of Melbourne, right? Whereas again, in Belarus, if that happened in Belarus, whoever did it, they'd be caught within an hour. The militia would be on them, the dude with the white helmets, if you've ever seen them. They seldom come out. They only come out, I think, when there's a violent activity. They'd just come out, they'd find whoever did it, and they just get locked up. Like, none of this let them out on bail shit, none of this, oh, they've had a hard life, they're drug affected, it's okay. None of this stuff, they're just in jail. So Belarus kind of has this almost weird feeling of kind of hyper safety. Alright, second thing I like about Belarus, I'm going to turn the camera around for this one. Now, do keep in mind we are in the city centre, so there's a lot more internationals, in particular kind of foreign students. But I have to say that on average, and this is really applicable to Melbourne, people in Belarus just look a lot better. And I don't mean necessarily genetics, by the way. I just mean like they're in better shape, they have better clothes, they style better. I mean, you feel like you're on a catwalk half the time, walking through Minsk, you know what I mean? And you kind of come to Melbourne and it's almost like a competition of who can dress the worst, right? But again, you won't see the worst of it here because these are mainly internationals, foreign students who come from different cultures, coming here to study and living in the city centre. But you can kind of just keep, you know, also it is a public holiday. People have come in, you can see there the football things. This is Australian football grand final tomorrow. Today's a public holiday. I'll do a separate video on that. But, you know, you get the general sense that people are pretty, you know, all over the shop, right? So this is a big difference. Whereas in Belarus, everyone dresses super well. Everyone looks good, mainly in good shape, well groomed, decent kind of styling and fashion and whatever as well. Whereas Australia in general follows this not so much, and definitely Melbourne. Melbourne's quite extreme in that situation. All right, third thing that's better about Belarus, of course, is the prices. Oh my God. Now it kind of depends what you're buying, right? Like if you want to buy a phone, for example, it's actually cheaper in Australia. Just putting that out there. I'll just put it out there right now. But if you want just, you know, day-to-day stuff, day-to-day meals, you know, a casual meal here and there, I mean, you can be pretty confident that, yeah, the price will be about a third in Belarus compared to Australia. So if you are a more mobile kind of dude like myself, you come back to Australia and you just feel your wallet just being tugged at from every corner, and you just can't wait to get back to somewhere like Belarus, quite frankly. Because again, restaurant meals are going to be probably a third of the price. Again, depends exactly what you're doing, what you're buying, but on average, the price is definitely probably roughly a third or maybe 40% of what they are in Australia. Again, depends kind of what you buy. And finally, if you know Australia, you know Melbourne, you'll know that this building here is the Flinders Street train station. So that's kind of like the central station, I guess, the station that every other train line connects to. And look, because we have this kind of Anglosphere, sprawling suburb, house and car kind of situation, that means that our public transport really blows. Now, for example, if you go to this train station here and you want to catch any train line at all, they're timetabled, so they don't just come every 2 minutes or every 5 minutes or whatever it is. They're timetabled and they come every 20 minutes on average. That's a typical gap. Obviously, rush hour, things get a little bit more frequent, and then some other times they get less frequent. But 20 minutes is your standard. So pretty much you don't just show up to Petrovskaya Metro and just get on the first train that shows up. You'll know the timetable. You'll have an app, you'll know the timetable, and you'll aim to get there 2 minutes before the train leaves, right? That's how it works. So the culture of this transport is just a lot different and really quite inconvenient. So you can imagine if that's the metro system or the train system, you can imagine buses are just a disaster. So if you don't live on any of those train lines, which most people don't, you really just have to have a car, and there's really no options for you at all. All right, there's 4 reasons why Belarus is better than Australia. If you have an opinion or some experience, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Why is Australia better than Belarus? Why is Belarus better than Australia? To say goodbye to you today, I'll turn you around and I'll go for a couple of minutes stroll. Today is a public holiday. Again, that's the central train station there. You can see the each train line. I'll zoom in there, each train line, and the next train that's going to come. Got this kind of old school analog clocks, just a relic of the past. No one probably looks at it. In fact, they probably don't even work, but they're just there. Again, a relic of the past. And this is an interesting area called Federation Square. And again, tomorrow is the grand final of the Australian Football League, and I'm going to make a video about this as well. Okay, pedestrians this way, that would be us. Let's go this way. So you can see the colours here. The ones in the red and white is one team, and the other team's like a maroony, kind of blue and yellow colour. So today is a public holiday, and this is a new public holiday. I don't want to give too much away about the culture of football here, because I do want to make a proper video on that. But I will say that in Australia we do loosely call our sport a religion, and we do have our own sport. We have one game in particular, it's super popular here, almost like cult-like status, and that's the grand final tomorrow. So of course today we have a public holiday. This is not the whole of Australia, just my state, the state of Victoria in the southeast, where the city of Melbourne is. So there's going to be a parade now. I'm going to make a video about that, because I think it's pretty cool. While I've got you, I might as well have a bit of a chit chat, because if you've got this deep in it all, you're obviously feeling it, so let's have a chat about it. So yeah, the football is, so tomorrow the stadium, which is called the Melbourne Cricket Ground, or the MCG, or the G for short. See how Australian culture is? We just make everything shorter. So it's the Melbourne Cricket Ground, we cut it to the MCG. MCG is not short enough for us, so it's got to be the G. We get to go to the G. Like, we're just efficient, like, let's just be honest here, right? So all of this construction here has been going on for 5 years. So presumably a mixture of bad organisation, excessive workers' rights, corruption. I don't know why the fuck some of this would take 5 years, to be honest, or longer. It's been longer. I don't know why. But it's still going, and when I left, this is how it was. And it's still the same situation. All right, so we're on, this is probably maybe the most well-known street in Melbourne. So this is one where it's cut off to car traffic. And you just have almost every single tram line that exists in Melbourne, of which there's maybe, I don't know how many, maybe 15. I think probably 12 of them run along this street, right? All right. Actually, I wanted to show you guys. Oh, let's go back here. I want to show you guys because I know sushi is a thing in Belarus, and I always laugh at that, and we always find that funny because here it's just street food, right? This is the closest thing we have to street food in Australia. You just come up, just say, yeah, I'll have one of those. I'll have one of those. Sold as a roll. So the exchange rates are about 2 to 1, yeah? So 450 Australians, around maybe 9 or 10 Belarusian rubles for one of those rolls. Rolls about, I don't know, a bit longer than your finger. And they're pretty tasty, actually. And 2 of those is probably a meal for a girl, maybe 3 for a guy. Again, as close as you can get. I'll slow this down because I know a lot of you guys, if you're in Belarus or Russia, this will fascinate the crap out of you. How it's just street food. This stuff is like low end for us. It doesn't mean that our other food's any better necessarily. It just means that's kind of the perception and how it's evolved here. See there, that's only 5 rubles. Probably cheaper than Belarus, to be fair. There's eating. Bit of a sushi train in there as well. Away you go. This dude's pumping out a bit of sax. A lot of buskers or street performers in Melbourne. It's definitely a grungy, kind of lefty, music-y kind of culture. But yeah, back to the footy. I'll just shout out some random stuff to you. This is some examples of just how uncompetitive Australia is. So look at that buy-sell spread. And this is actually pretty good, yeah? But the buy-sell spread's around 3% either way for US dollars. Whereas you go swap rubles for dollars, it's 0.5%, yeah? Here, 3% spread. And then buy to sell, 6%, right? And again, Belarus would be like 1% spread, buy to sell, half to the middle, half to the center point. So, yeah, we don't have much use for US dollars here, and yeah, we're a long way from anywhere, to be fair. So these guys have got one of the team's colours on. These 3 coming for the grand final parade. It's really buzzing today, the city. It's usually, I know, it's always somewhat busy, but yeah, good vibe. Everyone's kind of happy. Footy's on, everyone's excited. And yeah, so the MCG I was talking about, or the G, its capacity, I don't know the exact capacity, and it's always been kind of modified and whatever, but it'd be around 100,000 people. And they'll fill that tomorrow, of course, easily. And to be quite frank, they could probably fill it 3 times over, yeah? For this occasion, if it's just, round 6 between 2 teams no one cares about too much, that's different. But for grand final, you could fill this not just once. You probably fill it half a dozen times, to be honest. I mean, I'd go. It's actually quite hard to get a ticket, surprisingly. I'm kind of got to be a bit organised, or I've got a mate that works somewhere or whatever, or have some connection to one of the clubs, or queue, which obviously I'm not going to do. But yeah, I'd say that you could fill it several times over. So 700,000 people would go to watch this if they could. And that's one huge contrast between Australia and Belarus, is that we are, as I say, sport's like a religion in this country, and football in particular is like that. When I say football, I mean real football, Australian football, not fucking kick a ball on the ground football. Yeah, the participation rate's very high, the attendance is very high, the interest is very high. Whereas Belarus, I'm just shocked at how little people give a shit about sport. Like no one goes to the football, no one goes to the ice hockey. Just a bit of menu action. Bit of menu, mate. What's going on again? Exchange rate's 2 to 1. 2 to 1 ratio. Even is it Sabalenka, the Belarusian girl, won the Australian Open tennis the last 2 years in a row. She's ranked, well, she has to be probably maybe not number 1, but in the top couple, top few maybe in the world. And no one even knows her in Belarus. They couldn't give a shit. It's so interesting. Whereas in Australia, if you had a chick that had won the last 2 Australian Opens, she'd be a household name, man. Like she'd be fucking absolutely red hot. There you go. They got a sushi roll. The seagulls here. Seagulls are a real pain in the ass. Yeah, you can see they've got a nice little sushi roll in there, and they are fighting for it. It looks like a brown rice with salmon. Really quite annoying, and you can hear some kids run in there to break it up, so we'll get out of here. We've got the usual sit up there. So I don't know what I was up to there, I forget now. I've got a few different topics flowing. Actually, it'd be good to do a live stream like this, because I think getting some questions, otherwise I'm just kind of topic jumping essentially, whatever comes to my head. Yeah, I'm filming there. Get another one of these. It's actually the same brand, Sushi Hub. There's probably a dozen of these in the city centres, bloody heaps. They're quite fukusna, to tell you the truth. They're quite fukusna. Back in the day when I used to live here, I would regularly grab some sushi rolls. Convenient, tasty, not too unhealthy. What were we talking about? Football? Oh yeah, Belarusians just disinterested in sport relative to Australians. Now some Belarusians will love sport. Yeah, okay, some will go to the football, some will go to the ice hockey, whatever, but yeah, Australians, we're quite obsessed by it. As I say, participation rate's very high. Like a lot of communities are built around sporting organisations. Like I used to play in a tennis club in a competition for about 12 years. And you know, it was a real social thing. Huge club, a lot of guys. There's a footy club next door, another soccer club next to that, a netball club, and just a big social hub around sport, as opposed to you know, maybe a shopping centre, for example, might be the centre of action in maybe a Southeast Asian country. But here, yeah, sport's kind of a big thing. We're sporty, we like our sport, we like to be outside. It's definitely ingrained in the culture, and that's, you know, partly a reflection of just, I don't know, just our general thing, but also, yeah, we got better weather, I guess. That probably helps a bit, but doesn't really guarantee it. So I'll just keep filming. Again, if you're still here, I'll just keep rolling up for another couple of minutes. Again, we're right in the city centre here, and it's a weird kind of mix because not many Australians live in the city centre, although there's a lot of apartments. But yeah, servicing mainly foreign students, and then you kind of we have this like 12-month working holiday visa in Australia, and then you can extend it to 2 years if you do 3 months work on a farm. So you kind of get a lot of, especially Western Europeans, taking advantage of that. It's quite common. So you get them here. A lot of Latin Americans as well. We have more generous or less limiting work hours, regulations around work hours. If they come here as a student, so you've actually got a lot of Colombians come here, even some Brazilians, Peruvians, etc. They'll come here because yeah, they can work more hours than they're allowed to work in the States. So that might have changed recently, I think. But so yeah, we've got a surprising number of Latin Americans here. They tend to be kind of closer towards the west of the city centre, but so yeah, that's why you're getting such a kind of mixed demographic here. Aussies will come in here. They do live here a little bit as well, but they'll probably come in more likely to work during the week. And yeah, you can see a lot coming in for the grand final parade. Again, I'll make a separate video on that. But for now, I will say, do svidaniya, moi druzia. Enjoy your day. I hope you enjoyed the video. Cheers.